Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Friday. This is our Southern California market update for first time home buyers or entry level home buyers. It is March 5th, 2021. My name is Stephen Mead. I'm with Domicile Real Estate, where we are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. So, this is our weekly market update video, and we actually have some news and we have some adjustments to our statistics that I think those of you on the sidelines will be pleasantly surprised. This is the first time where I really feel like I get to deliver some news that looks pretty good. So we're just going to jump right into it. I don't think I'm going to waste any time on this. One of the things that we do a lot is we have a lot of conversations with people about real estate and about their options. So when I say that is we hear from a lot of you, and a lot of the same things keep coming up. As you may be aware, actually, I jumped in and out a little too soon. As you may be aware, interest rates have moved a fairly significant amount in a short time period. Yesterday, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, the head of the Federal Reserve said he expects there to be inflation through the summer that will start to show up. Now, I don't want to say I told you so. A lot of people said I was wrong and I called that prematurely. I actually don't think I did. And I think I was right on with that. That my fear was that we were going to start seeing some inflation and rates bump a little bit. And that is exactly what we've seen. However, I have some other good news. And I think it's important to take this news sort of in stride and understand that the second you start thinking about just one statistic or one market measure, I think that's really when you're lost. If you watch our other video, I talked about that this week too, that part of the reason why we look at multiple statistics that seem to say similar things is because we are trying to reality check, because sometimes one item can be biased or offset by some extraordinary event. And if we just went by that, we might be misled with the data. So I'm going to jump back into the screen share and I'm going to talk about sort of surprise and piece of good news number one for buyers. So this is our chart on closed prices. And remember, this is based on data that is for 30 to 45 days ago. And one thing that you notice is, we had this period of time here a couple of weeks back where our median price or our first quartile prices, our entry level pricing just jumped like crazy. I mean, 620 to 680 is a 10% jump over 1 week. That is obviously kind of an aberration of the data, but we notice we have the same thing down here for condos. So both our entry level homes and our entry level condos took a jump. Now, what I find fascinating is when you look at this over the past 2 weeks, what do you see here? This actually trended downward 2 weeks in a row. And it kind of went back to, if you were to kind of draw a line through here, this is actually around where it should be, right? Now, if you look at our condo market, you notice it slipped too, but not by nearly as much, which I think is very noteworthy. And we're going to see that as a recurring theme, right? That the condo market seems to have caught up a little bit to the entry level single family homes. Now, do remember this data is based on 30 to 45 days ago. But what this tells us is there's definitely we kind of exuberantly jumped to this big number here, and then we've kind of leveled out, or we've actually fallen a little bit. Now, if you look here for sort of what our total payment looks like, I think this is really what's interesting. If you look here for our entry level single family home, we're around 3,600. We are a little bit higher than that here. We're probably more in that $3,700 a month neighborhood. So up a little bit since 2018, but not up by a huge amount. And if you look here in our condo, things are a little bit different, right? Instead of that number jumping and then kind of falling off a little, look how it's accelerating a little bit slightly, but we are still under our 2018 numbers if we're talking about our entry-level condos, which is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or in the case of our entry-level single family, a 3-bed, 2-bath. Just as a reminder for everyone, two things. Number one, this is based on 5% down. It includes mortgage insurance, taxes, etc. And these statistics are based on Los Angeles and Orange counties. If you have questions for other counties, definitely let us know, especially Riverside or San Diego. We do work in those counties as well, and we can give you kind of a little bit more insight on those specifically. Now, the final little affordability chart that I like to do is this chart where we talk about the minimum household income needed if you have no other debts to afford those payments. So if you look here for our entry level single family home, which is at a price of 655, we have a $90,924 annual household income with no other debts. For our entry level condo, we are actually just below $70,000. So we're still over $1,000 below where that number was in 2018. So, don't buy into sort of some of these media stories. Rates have skyrocketed, and yes, rates have definitely jumped. But when you sort of look in the grand scheme of things, and we look at what is the payment of these entry level properties and the income that you need to qualify, in that light, things are actually pretty good. In fact, even if you look here, we've still moved less than $3,000 away from that 2018 number. So, in reality, these are still pretty reasonable numbers when we're looking at this grand historic element. So that pretty much sums up sort of our affordability argument for this week. But I think what's even more interesting is really to talk about the availability of housing. And if you talk to any real estate broker, kind of what you're hearing again is it's not location, location, location. It's inventory, 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 or in the case of the market we're in, lack thereof in that inventory. But we do have some good news and some encouraging signs. So let me pull this back up, jump into our first slide here, which is our 14-day absorption rate. And the best thing about these numbers is that you see they have gone down. Now, if you look back here, since the beginning of the year, let me grab my little pointer here. Pretty much since the beginning of the year, we have really been in sort of the 90s, right? And that continues. But for our entry level single family, we are now in the low 90s, which is definitely better than the high 90s or over 100%. And our condo market is below 90%. These are still incredibly strong numbers, and it is still very, very much a seller's market. But it is a little less of a seller's market than it was a week ago. And I really want to see if this trend continues on this here, because that will indicate that the market really is getting a little bit easier for buyers, which is kind of some relief that I think buyers are really looking for right now in the marketplace. Now, jumping through is our total inventory, and again, we're kind of seeing an interesting narrative here. Now, just a reminder, the blue line, that is our entry level single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And the red line is our entry level condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, when you look at this, for pretty much one of the first times, we actually saw a noticeable increase in inventory. And we haven't really seen that since our very beginning of the year bounce. Still, are we way below where we were towards the end of last year? Are we way below where we were even in September of last year? Yes. But seeing this graph point upwards is a good sign for buyers. This means versus last week, things have gotten better for you, probably by about maybe 10% better, 7-10% better. But I'm fascinated to watch this condo line. Look at where this condo inventory has gone. It has actually deteriorated. And I think we're seeing a lot of people maybe that would have been looking at single family homes, they are getting discouraged and they're switching their search to condos. So this is our chart regarding our week supply of homes. And I talked about this last time, right? Historically, we really saw kind of a pretty big jump, and then these have narrowed just a little bit and gotten a little closer. And again, I think that is relatively speaking, the condo market has gotten hotter relative to entry level single family homes. And if you're out there looking at condos, you probably noticed this as well, that it does feel like that market is getting a little bit tighter. Now, again, we still have very, very low numbers historically. But what I think is good to point out is these numbers have stabilized, at least they have for the entry level single family homes. Moving only 1/100th of a week of inventory, that is a very small degradation. Even here for our condos, that's still a pretty small degradation too, from 4.82 weeks down to 4.65. Now, finally, we have another new chart that we've instituted. And I really like this one because I think this one is great. It's sort of like a windsock at the airport. It kind of tells you what direction the wind is blowing. And if you look here for our entry level single family owned and our entry level condo, both of these numbers got better. Now, just a reminder, this is our 14-day still active percentage. So that what it means is we look back over the last 14 days, all of the properties that came onto the market in these categories through Los Angeles and Orange counties, and we said what percentage of those today are still active and available, either as a coming soon or as an active property. What percentage are still there? And we notice that that number has gone up. Now, of course, this also tells you what you already knew, that the condo market, while it is getting more competitive, it is not as competitive as the single family home market, which is below 60%. But it's great to see both of these pointing in that upward direction. So, I want to take a second and talk a little bit about strategy and if you're the kind of buyer who's sitting on the sidelines. And I think, here's kind of the question that you need to be asking yourself. I think a lot of people are wondering, are the current bump in rates, is that an anomaly or is that sort of the new normal? Is sort of these rates in the low threes just sort of where we're going to be seeing things from now on? And possibly are they going to go up further? My gut feeling is with the vaccine rollout, with a lot of good economic news coming, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure and inflation. And I do think those rates are going to rise towards the upper threes, maybe even 4%. No, I do not have a timeline or a time horizon for you on that. But bear in mind, I think that's what we are going to be seeing. So if you're the kind of person waiting on the sidelines, your thought is, well, do I think that the market is going to drop in an appreciable way that would offset those gains in interest rates and make it so my payment is the same or possibly even cheaper? I don't think that's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you why. If you are an entry level buyer, you have to understand, where is your inventory coming from? What types of homes and condos are you going to be buying, and why are those people selling? So here's my logic. If you are buying an entry level condo or single family property, it is very likely that that seller is buying to something bigger, that they are a move up buyer. Now, what happens if interest rates rise and or prices soften even a little bit? Many of those would-be sellers will not be placing their homes on the market. What is that going to do to supply? It is going to reduce supply. And I believe that will have the effect of keeping prices largely propped up. You will just have reduced number of transactions. So if I were in the first time home buyer category, when I am advising first time home buyers, my advice is that if you are in a place where you believe you have good, solid income, you believe you have a decent amount of job security, and you have your down payment and closing cost funds available, my advice is to be in the market, but look for the right property, something that you can see yourself in for the next 2 to 5 years, possibly be even longer. That would be my advice to first time homebuyers going into this week. Anyhow, we love working with you. We love helping renters become home owners, which is what we're really about. If you have questions, comments, we'd love to hear about them. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We will definitely see you again on Tuesday for our whole market update video. Definitely watch that. We run through some different stats and we encompass the whole market, not just the entry level side of things. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. And as always, we are here for you. Have a great weekend, everybody.